Hello React Native developers, I'm William and I would like to welcome you to the first installment of The Joy of Painting with React Native Skia. If this is your first time with us, allow me to extend a personal invitation to get your keyboards and paint along with us on each videos. And if you've been with us before, allow me to thank you for welcoming us back for another series of Skia tutorials. I'll tell you what, let's get started. I'll have run down across the screen all the components and colors you're going to need to paint along with us. And let me tell you what I have going on here. Today I'm using a 393 by 852 points GPU accelerated React Native Skia Canva, but you can use whatever size you'd like. And I've just covered it with a very light blue linear gradient. We're going to paint a landmark from beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. And here I started my composition. We're going to have the sky with the clouds and the sun and the Kornhaus silo. And of course, we're going to draw the Limmat. This is where we go swim in the summer. And all of these nature pieces are all very simple geometric shapes plus some noise. So we have our background linear gradient. And again, we're going to draw some clouds, and they come in odd numbers and some simple geometric shapes plus some noise. So we get the rectangle, and we can use it to draw an oval. So we can pass the rectangle as property. Here it is. And maybe one thing we can do is to add a linear gradient to each cloud, something nice and soft. Maybe we go from white to transparent white. So here we go. We're just gonna set the opacity to 0. And we can start in the top left corner of the Canva, maybe. Let's see. We can decide. Anything is possible. So to the top right corner, let's have a look. So I think this looks quite okay, but I've made a mistake, or rather a little happy accident, is at the top right corner. So this is the y-axis. I always get everything confused. So this should be the top right corner. Here it is. And now one thing I can do, maybe, but you decide. We can do anything is possible. And so I go from white to transparent to white, and I can extend the linear gradient maybe from minus width, and here width divided width times 2. Maybe this is too soft. We can make it slightly stronger, but you decide. I think this looks quite okay. And now, of course, we need to draw the sun, and we need to make friend with the sun. So we're going to create a sun component. And here it is. Just a simple function. We're just going to draw a circle. So here it is. Just a nice circle. We have the parameters here. So just a nice radius and the center of the circle. And we need a color. So we have our palette here. And we're going to use the sunlight whisper, just a whisper. Here we go, perfect. And we can make the sun shine, but just a whisper, not too much. So we're going to add a blur mask. Just add some blur. Here we go. And we can change the style of the blur mask to be solid. So only the outer parts are blurred. So you can just use a solid style, but you use any style you want. And we just want a whisper. So maybe just 20 points. Super great. And now we can maybe, I like our clouds. They're great. Maybe we can add some noise to make them look a bit more organic. So we're going to use path effect for that. So we're going to add some noise as a path effect. So very convenient, very fast way to do it. And then we're going to round the nice sharp edges into something nice and soft. So let's add the discrete path effect. And we have two parameters, length, and I think it's called deviation. So this is the frequency of the effect, and this is its amplitude. So let's take maybe 20 points and 20 points. And one thing we can do is to add a corner path effect to smooth out the edges. Is that called R? Yes. And so now it looks much more organic. Here, the order of the path effect matters. We want to apply this one before. So we want almost to nest this one with the discrete path effect. But maybe I'll make the frequency smaller. No, I made it higher. So make it a bit smaller maybe. And increase the amplitude. But however you think it should be is exactly how it should be. So, and here the beauty of it is that because we use noise, each render is unique. So each frame, each canvas is unique. So it's absolutely wonderful. And maybe let's draw the Limmat now. So I have the Limmat component, and I wrote down some measures for the honk area, the Limmat, the undulations of the water, and we're going to have the reflection of the sun onto the Limmat. But you can play with these values, and whatever are the values you think should be the right values are the right values. We're going to create a group, and we're going to draw a honk. So here it is, but I'm going to use an oval. Yes, perfect. And we're going to assign it a color from the palette. And maybe I'm going to use Limmat K. Perfect. And now let's draw the Limmat. Here we go. And for the water, maybe we can use Alpine Azure. That looks good. And now we can draw the ondulation of the water and the sun reflecting onto the beautiful Limmat. And to do that, we're going to again use noise. So let's draw the ondulations, and you see it's just a simple rectangle, but we're going to use noise to make it look very organic and very beautiful. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and as a color, I'm going to use Mystic Teal, maybe. Let's have a look. Let's import the component. I forgot to close the bracket. I think this looks good. So one thing we can do is rotate the rectangle to be edged on the left side. So just I'm going to set the rectangle. So the center, the origin of transformation is the center of the rectangle. So I have a function to extract the center. These functions can be very convenient and useful sometimes. And I'm going to create a transform. And I'm going to rotate from minus pi divided by how much? 6? Yes. Is that too much, maybe? Let's see. And now we can add our noise. So again, we had a discrete path effect, and then we're going to edge, smooth the edges. So discrete path effect. Let's have a look. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe we can even make it a bit bigger. And lower frequency. Let's see. Now let's move the edges. So we're gonna use the corner path effect. That looks quite okay, I think. And of course, here we need now to clip. So to clip the ondulations with the Limmat. And here, so this one is interesting because this one is a rectangle, so I need to clip the oval. So I'm going to create a path. And I think Skia is very convenient to build these things. So we're going to create a new path. And we're going to add an oval. And these are the same properties. We can just pass the Limmat. And now I can put the shape into a group and use this path to clip it. So I'm just going to create a group here. And we're just going to use a clip. And I guess we can solve a lot of problems just by using clipping. Here we go. And I think I want to make the rectangle slightly higher. So let's see. Perfect. And maybe increase slightly the frequency and the deviation. Let's see. Here we go. And now we can add the reflection of the sun, which we have here. So we're gonna still stay in the clipping group and we're gonna draw the sun. So this is the center. The radius, what did we have here? 125, so that's the radius we'll take. And we can add a color. So we can add the sunlight whisper. And we can add some opacity, maybe 0.4. Now we can use a displacement map to add noise to the sun. So let me remove the opacity for now and show you a Perlin noise shader. So we're going to generate an image that represents Perlin noise, and that's what we're going to use as a displacement map. So let me just show you the noise first. So we're going to use turbulence. And we can choose the frequency on the x-axis and y-axis, and we know that we want the frequency to be low on the x-axis and high on the y-axis. But let's have a look first, see how it looks. And we have the octaves parameter we need to set also. So you see we have so for each color component, including alpha, we have some noise, and you see that here between the x and y frequency is equal. But I think what I want to do here maybe is to increase on the x-axis. And this actually kind of looks good. And so this image you see here is what we're going to use as a displacement map. So I'm simply going to wrap this component into a displacement map. Now for the displacement map, we need to tell him what to use for the X channel, for channel X and channel Y. And here it doesn't matter which component we take. So here we can take red as a component. And I think it doesn't matter because the noise is equal between color components in this noise that we use at this displacement map. So here I can take green. Here we go. And the scale component, common value here would be 50. Let's have a look. Yes, and we can add some opacity. So we can go back to, and it looks warm and beautiful, maybe slightly. And can we increase? So you decide how to parameterize the noise. So maybe 0.9. Isn't that wonderful? It looks like a beautiful summer day in Zurich, Switzerland. So, and now we're going to draw the Kornhaus silo. And I'm excited about this one because we're going to use an asset from Figma. And anything you draw in Figma can easily be imported into React Native Skia. And I want to show you how some of these things work. So really, when painting with React Native Skia, Figma is your best friend, absolutely. And all the primitives that are available in Figma, they can nicely map into React Native Skia. So that's very exciting. So let's go into the silo component, which is empty, but I did decided something about the width of the silo onto the composition, but we're going to need to scale it. So let's have a look. So I'm going to go into Figma here, and I'm going to select the silo and just copy as SVG. And we're going to convert this nice little SVG into React Native Skia. And you see it's not going to be very complicated. So we have the nice little SVG, and here we have the origin size of the SVG. So that's the source that we're going to need to scale. So let me write it down here. So the source, let me write it here. So 520, 2025. It's the second tallest building in beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. And I can see it from my window. And the first tallest building in Zurich, Switzerland, you can see it also in the background of some of my painting videos. It's the Prime Tower. So I'm going to remove this one. And here we're going to do some copy and replace to go nicely from SVG to React Native Skia. So we have the path, and it has this D attribute. No, so it's a lowercase path. But in Skia, we use the uppercase path, and we try to be consistent sometimes. So we use the path as property name. We try to be consistent, but sometimes we do fail, but we try our best. And so let me do a replace. Perfect. And the fill property is a color property. And here we try to stay close and true to the Skia semantic of painting things. And that's why sometimes it slightly differs from SVG. But we try our best. And then we have the stroke property. And it's a color in Skia, but we can add the style, stroke. Here we go. Wonderful. And so the stroke meter limit is called stroke meter. Again, here we try to stay true to the Skia API. This is why we have these slight differences sometimes, but we can accommodate for them. Here we go. And you see now, it looks so big and so tall, but we can scale it to our needs. So here I can create an aspect ratio, which is going to be the height divided by the width. So that gives us the source and the destination. And we have a function that is going to calculate the transformation we need. So fitbox, here, it doesn't matter because we respect the aspect ratio. How we scale the image doesn't matter because we know that we scale it proportionally and can do source and silo. No, it's so small now. What happened? We just made, oops, sorry. So 520 divided by 225. I always get it wrong. But this looks good. And let me see now if maybe we can move the position of the silo. So to be, let's see. So I'm gonna add some properties to the Limmat component. Just some React Node as children. Here we go. And now I can put it wherever I want. And I'm gonna put it between these two here. I think that looks good. And now I want to do two things. Now I want to do a little bit more than two things, but let's add the trees. And these trees are going to be exciting because, again, it's a novel and we're going to add some noise. But here we're going to build the path effect ourselves so we can make it a little bit more complex. So these path effects are very convenient. We love them. We could use them so fast. But we shouldn't be scared of them. And sometimes if we want to do like some special customizations, we can very easily build these path effects ourselves. And this is what we're going to do here. And we simply shouldn't be afraid of building these fun little path effects. So let's draw first maybe the shapes so we can see them. So we can draw a rectangle. Here we go. And so here are little trees. They don't look like trees yet, but we're going to make friends with them and they're going to become beautiful trees. So, and we can make it also oval if we want. Here we go. So, I have my little tool belt, which has a generate ellipsis point. So it's going to generate points along the ellipsis. And I think I will link to a video where we show how to use this ellipsis equation. And then we're gonna add some noise to these points and then remove the edgy little pointy corners by smoothing the points. And to smooth the points, we're gonna use the Catmull ROM spline. And so this is just my little secret tool belt. So let's go. So I'm gonna create some points. So we're gonna use the generate ellipsis points and I'm gonna pass the shape here, and as second parameter we can decide the number of points. So, and let me create a path directly from these points. So this becomes, I always use const, but maybe here I'm gonna break my own rules and use let, but so we can reduce the points into a path, right? So the initial value is a skier path. Here we go. Just a little path. And we return the path here. And we get the points and we get the index of the points. So if the index is 0, we need to do a move to that's right. And if not, we do a line 2. And this is a path actually. So here we go. Let's draw the path. So this looks a bit pointy, but of course we can, and this is where the let variable comes in, we can smooth out the points. Let's do it. Just now we remove the pointy edges. And all is left to do for us now is, before smoothing out the points, add some noise. So we're going to create a 2D noise. And in fact, all we need is a 1D noise, but 2D will do the job. And we're going to map the points. So we get the point and we get an index. Just some simple shapes plus some noise. And So we're going to return the point plus some delta. Oh. Okay. And we're going to use noise to create this organic random delta. So, and here, thankfully, Copilot is wrong. That gives me some room for explanations. So this noise generates a value between -1 and 1. So we can use an amplitude parameter to decide how much deviation we want, how much amplitude. So maybe here I'm going to put 40. I have no idea what would be a correct value. And here we can, to decide the frequency, we can multiply whatever is the parameter here. And here, as a rule of thumb, I like to, of course, you can put any value you want, but I have a value that goes from 0 to 1. So here that would be 1 divided by the length of points -1. So we go from 0 to 1, and we let the frequency decide nicely, parameterize the noise nicely, and for the second parameter I can just put 0. And here it's called I. And it doesn't look like it's doing much, but maybe if I increase... No, it's because I need to assign it here, I guess. Yes, and this maybe is too much, isn't it? And maybe I can... What happens if I increase the frequency? Oh. Maybe let's decrease it slightly. And now that we have access, now that we do the path ourselves, that allows us to do something we couldn't do before with the discrete path effect, is that I can do a group. I can draw the path twice, change the color, and I'm going to use this color here. And maybe let me put it in this order. And I'm going to clip with the path. And I'm going to translate this path here. Here we go. And maybe I do 30% of the width. Oh, the width of the rectangle, of course. So something like this, maybe. I think it looks good. It does look a little bit pointy. Here we go. So, really wonderful. It really looks like the place that I love. And this is where I draw the React Native Skia tutorials, and now I draw the place using Skia, and the video itself is rendered with Skia using Remotion, which is also built in beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. So it's all very recursive, as it should be. And I want to do... We almost have a painting here, don't we? So I want to first maybe start to sign the painting here. Here we go. And I love how each frame is absolutely unique. And I want to add some grain. And again, to add a nice grain to our painting, we're going to add some noise. So let's just add some Berlin noise. And maybe increase the frequency. No. Sorry. Always get it confused. And this is a bit harsh, and this is where a soft blend mode will help. So I can just use soft light. Here we go. And we get this nice, subtle grain effect. Absolutely wonderful. And so I think we have a painting here. I hope you enjoyed it. Now it's time to put this show to a close, and I've really enjoyed being with you during this tutorial, and I hope to see you again very soon. if you get a chance, come by to GitHub and say hello to us. And until next time, I'd like to wish every one of you a happy painting and happy hacking.